Hi guys, welcome to another 2-minute devotion with Dad. We are still in Mark 9, and hopefully this will be the last one for this little subsection. It's been a while, you've been very patient. So we're just dealing with this last verse here about salt, and there's a lot in here, but I just wanted to just sort of wrap it up this time. So Jesus says salt is good for seasoning, but if it loses its flavor, how do you make it salty again? You must have qualities of salt among yourselves and live in peace with one another. So after a fair bit of reading around about this word and its usage in the Old Testament as well, there's two versions of salt really. So the main one here is salt with which food is seasoned, sacrifices are sprinkled, those kinds of saline matter used to fertilize arable land. So there is a form of salt that is actually useful, but salt is also can render land as unusable too, so it cannot be cultivated. So obviously that's not the kind of salt we're looking for here. Salt is also it helps to preserve food, as it says here at the top, and also is likened unto being wise and having grace with your speech, which makes sense in a couple of other verses, which we'll see shortly. Down here, you can pause and read all that. It just shows you the different uses with the different verses associated with them. The one that's highlighted here, I actually looked this up. It's pretty cool to see, and I'll show you shortly. So there's the saline used to fertilize arable land, but also it renders the land sterile. So I'll let you look up those afterwards, but basically it's where they sowed land with salt so that they couldn't use it. Sometimes it's almost a form of judgment. So just pause and read that if you want to. But yeah, these are the different types of salt in the Old Testament. Then we go over to here. This is the Bible Hub, and I just looked up that phrase. And so metaphorically, it describes qualities of purity, preservation, and wisdom. Salt is a vital element in the world, symbolizing a covenant, loyalty, and the enduring nature of God's promises. Here it's also used to preserve food and enhance flavor. There was a covenant of salt, and then there was the wisdom down the bottom. So there's quite a few references. And down the bottom here, God preserving, seasoning a believer as they grow, in loving the Lord with all their heart, soul, mind, strength, in all their relationships. So as we can see, salt is the multiple metaphor sometimes for all things desirable and useful. So as we go over back to here, what does that mean for us? It says salt is good for seasoning, but if it loses its flavor, how do you make it salty again? Now, the phrase to make it salty literally means to prepare it again, to make it useful or to make something usable. How do you do that? That's why I was going to show you one more thing. When we go back into here, the Greek is a bit weird, but the way it says it here, if it's lost its saltiness, this is the only phrase here used. But if we go back to have lost, is it this one? Not this one. You notice how Jesus uses this phrase in Mark. But in the other two Gospels, it's a different... I'm trying to show you. I can't remember how I got there now. This one will do. You're the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its flavour, It's a different Greek word, moraino. So Luke and Matthew both use this phrase to say lose its flavour, to act foolishly, to be foolish, to be prove a person or a thing foolish. And then it was also used to make flat and tasteless of salt that's lost its strength and flavour. So Matthew and Luke use this one, whereas Mark uses the other one just to lose its flavour. So it's interesting that the same description is rendered differently across the Greek usage. To lose savour, to become a fool, to make foolish, to become insipid, figuratively to passively act as a simpleton, to become fool, to make foolish, to lose savour. So that's what I wanted to show you here. And these are the only times that the word lose its savour is used when it comes to being fools. So Romans and Corinthians there also use that. But so it's just interesting to see that Jesus is saying, if we become fools, how do we become wise again? So our challenge is to not become foolish here. So our take-home message here is we want to be literally salty, because it says you must have the qualities of salt among yourselves, thinking about all those different contexts that we've just read, and live in peace with one another. So that's the challenge today, is think about the usefulness of salt historically and in the context of which it's used, and then apply it to your life. Think about the areas in your life, and this is for me too, where salt is useful and is desirable, and how we want to use it and make our life to have those kinds of qualities among other people. And because when we season our lives, we're making it preparable for God as well, to help glorify Him, to serve others. And also, we don't want that salt to become the undesirable type, which makes land, unusable, because as you probably know, too much salt can destroy a food as well, can make it yuck. Just enough is right. It's got the cleansing properties, it's all these other things, So this is Jesus' words about salt. And once again, even what I've just shared here is but a scratch and sniff exercise on this word and its use. It's been quite the journey for me just to be able to prepare this kind of short or relatively short sort of videos. And but I just want to challenge you, go do this yourself if you have time, if you have opportunity. Just research these words. I've said it a few times now, but it's quite fascinating, the usage of these in the original language, what they refer to historically, socially, the context of the time, and then you also have a literal rendering of the word as well. But then there's other contextual things that sometimes we miss. But anyway, I'm going to stop rubbing the salt into this one, and we'll move on. But yeah, just sometimes it's important to just take a bit of extra time to dwell on something, just to get the full context, get proper meaning. And sometimes, it's a bit dry. Some of the stuff has been pretty deep, and but you're still here, you're still watching. That's quite amazing. So thank you. But I don't know who this is for out there, but just somebody out there who just, I don't know, this verse has either bothered you or confused. It's been confounding, or just like, what the heck is he going on about? There's not always a hidden meaning, but sometimes you got to dive deep and go find it. Anyway, bless you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you the next one. Bye.